I wouldn't look at every Gauntlet port out there, from the good to the really, really not so good. Anyway, let's watch. Hey there, we are at the end, pretty much, nearly. I've looked at any version of Gauntlet I can find. I'm up to the PlayStation 1, Arcade's Greatest Hits, Volume 2. This is one of those kind of early retro packs. It's had about 5 or 6 games, but it had done, as you're going to see, it had a ton of like trivia, which is always nice. In fact, this is for the PS1. The PS2 version, and I'll have a very quick look at that, called Midway Arcade Treasures, had a ton of games, but didn't have all this extra bumf, this extra, you know, little tidbits of information about the arcade games. So a bit of a pity that, but I mean, this is the PS1 version did, so it's some, I wish I'd read this before I could before I did my look at all the various ports, because I would look like I knew so much about the game. But anyway, I think I mentioned Zybots in a minute. I did mention that years ago in my Zybots review. So we're going to have a quick look at the game itself. The thing is, I nearly wasn't going to include this because it's the reason I can get away with not doing like the Game Boy or the GameCube Advance, the GameCube version of Midway Arcade Treasures, an Xbox version of Midway Arcade Treasures, and that, because it's emulated. It's the same thing no matter what. It's not really a port, and this whole premise is let's do all the ports. But I figured, look, it's a good version. It's worth showing people, and the fact that it has all this little extra stuff in the background. Oh, we don't know about Marble Landis, so we'll skip ahead. I thought I'd let people know. So here's a little rubbish animation. It was the mid-90s, just about starting the game. I'm going to have to fiddle with some settings here. While I do, thanks to everyone that's put comments, notes, any kind of information, anyone that sent me any messages about the games while I'm in review with them. Special shout outs to Grub Gun, Cholo PC, CPC, sorry, British 1500, Wingnut 4427. And Wingnut, as far as I know, you've actually done a Gauntlet sort of retrospective thing. You did a kind of look at all the different versions. I didn't realise that when I started this, so yours is slightly different. You've got Gauntlet 2 for 1-2. Anyway, it's good. It's worth checking out. I'll see if I can see the link in there. Mr. Oakley 1234, and anyone else that ever feels like putting some information down, let me know. Give me comments. It's all good. Anyway, let's fiddle around with this. You've got to tweak the settings a bit here. There's also, I don't know if you saw there, I set it to 4-player mode. I didn't even know you could do that initially when I got the game. So if you've got a 4-player multi-tap kind of thing, it's worth doing for, especially if you're playing Gauntlet, because the whole point of Gauntlet is having 4-player, which I haven't covered in the entire of all my reviews. So I've just been looking at 1- and 2-player because that's what was on the game ports back then. I am gibbering wildly now, folks, because I can see the end is in sight. This is, as I said, I think this is based on the later board of the game. So you can't play, it's much harder to play forever on 1 credit. And you can pump it with credits as far as I know. You can just keep going forever. I'm just Leroy Jenkins in the way now. Just getting stuck in there, getting hit by ghosts. I'll have a quick look at the PS2's just intro section before we go, because it's the only different part of it. It's basically the same. As far as I know, it's exactly the same code and same game and same emulation and that. If I'm wrong, let me know and I'll stick an extra little review video in there. But as far as I know, you got this on the PS1. I think the Dreamcast had a port of this, but it was cancelled. I'm not 100% sure. This is the Arcades Classics version. The PS2 era, the Xbox, the GameCube, there was a Midway Arcade Treasures, which is the same idea. It's a compilation, but that's a Midway / Atari games. Great, well worth checking out. See if you can pick up a copy second hand. It didn't have quite as much little extra info as you saw there with the arcade cabs and the little details about Ed Log and all this kind of stuff. But it's got more games. So it's got like the kind of amount you want to see on something you're paying full price for, like about 30 games. So well worth checking out. So speaking of checking out, this is my last Gauntlet port that I'm going to be doing for a while. I'm going to be looking at Gauntlet 2, Gauntlet 3, got the Third Encounter, Gauntlet Legends, Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and that other one that I forget the name of. We don't talk about. I'm going to take a break from Gauntlet for a little bit though, because I don't want to go insane. So I'm going to be looking at some other stuff. Might have looked. There's a game. The name escapes me, but there's a game on the that came out for the PC Engine, which is very Cavern Explorer, Dungeon Explorer, something like that. That was very Gauntlet-esque, and there was even a DS port, which is more than Gauntlet ever got, sadly, due to reasons that I've gone into before. It was canned, so I might be looking at that too. But I may be taking a break from anything maze-based for a couple of weeks, so I don't go insane. which is always a bonus, not being insane. Anyway, this is... if you have a look at my channel there, you're going to see reviews on every port from the Apple II right up to, well, the PlayStation 2 in a second. So, have a look at that by all means if you want to. Oh, nothing there. I'd forgotten that. You think I'd know this after playing God knows how many versions of this game. I also, by the way, before I stop talking about Gauntlet, I'm going to do a little compilation vid. Wingnut 4427 did a great version. I think it's on video gaming history source. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I'll put a link up as well. It's kind of similar. I'm going to do something fairly similar, but whereas his kind of covered Gauntlet 2 in a few places, and for things like the Game Boy and that, I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'm going to stick with the old just solidly Gauntlet 1, a little bit of footage of each portion, or of each port, so you can compare them all. Me playing badly the whole way through. Right, let's just go to level 5, because I think I'm going to die here if I don't. Just for a change, all the other reviews, ports, whatever, I've looked at 1, 4 and 8, so for a change I'm going to go to 5. So this was on, I always get the name wrong, Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection Volume 2. This is the PS1 version. And then on the PS2 you had Midway Arcade Treasures, because at that point there's a lot more Midway games than Atari games, and you know, because licensing, basically it was called Midway. Midway Arcade Origins is on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, which is, again, you're buying the same games pretty much. Sadly, there's a slight difference in the games, but if you got all three of the Midway Arcade Treasures, I don't think you get anything new. But you get online stuff, so you can play multiplayer with your mates, which is always nice, and you can also get achievements and other sad things like that. So if you haven't picked up the PS2 ones, and you should, it's worth checking out. I haven't seen a copy of it because at this stage in my country there's only GameStop, there's no other game companies, and they need more room to put FIFA 13 on the shelves and Call of Duty, whatever bloody year it is this year. So they obviously don't have interesting games there, instead they just have crap. So I haven't picked up a copy yet. I may do at some point. Damn us invisible sorcerers. Yeah, listen, well, we're going to go... I'm just going to show you the intro video because it's a real kind of... it's that sort of mid-90s rendering you seem to get in a lot of PS1 games. And everything looks like it's made of plasticine. Modelling clay if you're American. Oh, there's an option to save. By the way, which is nice. It means that you can, as far as I know, you can save your position and play through the game. So you got this little Atari logo. So basically, this is built around the fact to have Marble Madness, and look at that. Look, what is he? What's he supposed to be made of? And that's not even a proper throw. We just dropped it. Anyway, yeah. If you've ever seen Rainbow Island, my review of Bull Bobble / Rainbow Islands on the PS1, you've seen some of these fairly bad little render things. But I liked it for this because it never actually shows you what's on the walls in Gauntlet. Because when they got to Gauntlet in proper 3D, it wasn't set in a maze ring. There's one or two levels that are throwbacks to the original arcade, you know. So this is some Crystal Castles stuff. I wonder, does that mean I can stick Crystal Castles in the tag and, you know, get anyone that's looking for the band? They'll end up getting to this YouTube video. No, probably not. It's a bit sad. Anyway, yeah, I am just blathering now because I am just itching to start doing something that's not Gauntlet related, much as I love Gauntlet. It's the downside to doing these kind of let's look at every port is that you get, well, goes first, so you get sick of the game, but you know, you do start to hanker for something anyway, something different. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the PS2. Okay, it is the PS2. I'm just gonna literally show you the intro because it's exactly the same as what you just saw on the PS1. I just wanted to include it here for completeness. Like I said, in theory, I could do this was on the Xbox and the GameCube. I'm not going to look at those because as regards Gauntlet, there's not a difference. So this doesn't have all the really cool. It does have trivia and things, but it doesn't have really any for Gauntlet, which is a bit of a pity. The 4-player is there, but it's tricky to get working. So just takes a bit of fiddling. I actually didn't even realize it was there. I told people, oh no, it's only 2-player. And no, it is 4-player, but it's a bit fiddly to get going. So should just load it up. Gives you a little map there. Anyway, listen, I'm playing out this because there's not anything else I could say about Gauntlet. So if you've watched through all these, thanks for watching. If you haven't, if you have a look at my channel, I've got a playlist there called Gauntlet Home Ports, and it's basically me talking over way too many of these. I'm going to be doing a little compilation vid without me talking, with just a little bit of footage from each port, and I'm going to be going looking at something completely different next time. Anyway, if you've watched all these videos, thank you very much for sticking through them all. If you haven't, I've got the playlist there. I need food badly. I've got to go. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.